I think the experiences I had being born and then going back to visit my family in South America and, one of the poorest neighborhoods in Lima, Peru, and then being incarcerated here in America gave my rhyme style a very violent feel to it, you know what I mean? Because I was writing about what I saw, what was around me, you know what I mean? Not just what I could imagine in my mind. And my imagination is powerful enough for me to come up with metaphors and similes that are eye-opening to people, because if I just rhymed about this stuff and I wasn't good at rapping, then no one would care. But I mean, because I have a talent for it, I think people take a lot more notice of what I'm doing. So I think that has been one of the major influences on it, that aggressive style, That's why I came up battling, because it was a good way to get that aggression out. I just been in a box for a year. I mean, I'm not anti-American, I'm just pro-justice, and when the American government acts fucked up, then I'll be anti that. When they act right, then I give props where it's due. I think the fact that we vote 25 times every century doesn't mean that we have a democracy. A democracy is set up by those institutions that protect the civil liberties of the people. That's the democracy. That's what we vote in, those institutions that we create that are supposed to be perpetually held there to ensure that we have those rights. That's democracy. Not going and punching a card, once every 4 years. I think by now the perception of Americans by other people is that, not all of us agree with the policies of this government. In fact, they know there's a lot of dissension, but I'm sure there's still an attitude towards it. And I think there's a false impression around the rest of the world that Americans are more ignorant than other people. It's not that we're more ignorant, it's that our ignorance is more visible to other people. You know what I mean? Let's take two sets of alcoholics. One of them's a homeless drunk in the street that has no influence over anybody else's life, and another one drives a school bus. You know what I mean? Now, the bum on the corner who's an alcoholic, his alcoholism affects nobody but the nigga that trips over him when he's going somewhere and turning the corner. His alcoholism just fucks him up. But the nigga driving the school bus, his alcoholism affects the lives of dozens of children that he drives to school every day. And that analogy is perfect to describe ignorance, because the rest of the world's ignorance rarely comes in to affect other people, whereas our ignorance on a daily basis is so much more visible and affects so many other lives. You know what I mean? Not to say that that person's ignorance can't affect, because when you have, fundamentalists or individuals that are dedicated to fascism, supported by this country in a lot of places, then their ignorance does become visible. But by and large, I think that people think Americans are more ignorant because we're in control of more things around the world. And so the fact that we don't even have the ability to point on a map where we're involved and where we're occupying other countries makes people think that the fuck is wrong with these people. I think it's, like I said, it's just more visible because they say, well, you have the capacity to leave. How come only 15% of Americans have a passport? You have the ability to leave your country, whereas other places they don't have the ability to leave. It's almost like the difference in between ignorance and stupidity. Ignorance is not knowing. Stupidity is like you have the opportunity to know and you just don't want to know.